So we going? I'll call the meeting to order with, let's review the minutes, or hopefully you have a chance to review the minutes. If so, or if you want to take a few minutes, or when you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, I hear a second. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion carried, any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, reports from committees. Is that what's going on?
Audit has not met.
We have a meeting scheduled for some people.
No, we don't have anything on the table.
David Thomas, codes and zoning.
So we did meet on June 14th. Out of that meeting came the adult entertainment ordinance that I pulled from Cheatham County. It was reviewed. They passed that on by vote to planning. I've let Brandon Beller see everything as we've been going on. It also came out of the planning commission. They looked at it. They wanted definitions added, talking with GNRC. So I added the definitions from Cheatham County, just verbatim, pulled them over. I've also sent that on to Brandon. The problem you run into, and Brandon has mentioned this multiple times to me, adult entertainment is a First Amendment protected entity. I'm fully aware of that, because with any entity, we can't zone it out. Not trying to zone it out, just trying to find, honestly, all this will do is put it, our regulations will be the same as what the state is. We never opted into the state, so we don't have any regulations. So this is just going to fill in that gap. So it came out of planning and with a wanting to be sent to the full commission. We've got a meeting on Wednesday. Thursday, yours is Wednesday, Thursday at 7. We're gonna review that again, make sure everyone's hasn't seen the other changes that need to be made, and then that'll be coming this month to the full commission.
Anything else? Okay, thanks for that report. For emergency services. Is it open?
We have a meeting scheduled for Wednesday. We have not met since our last executive committee.
So you're meeting this week.
We're meeting Wednesday. I want to discuss with y'all what I'm gonna bring up for discussion there. Last year, resolution 2022-2764 was, the gist of it was $30,000 of ARPA money was set aside for EMT training for current employees. It has been suggested to open that up to current volunteers of fire and rescue. I am open to ideas. I don't know how to ensure that we get the benefit of paying for those classes for EMTs.
In that original piece, it had a contingency clause where you had to work for the county for 3 years or pay X amount back.
Exactly, after the training. Yes.
After, once you went through the training.
Yes,
I don't think there was any contingency if you didn't complete the training, though, if I remember that correctly. So if you started it, you didn't finish it, and never became that person. I remember that being a part of the conversation. So we might want to look into that
okay.
piece.
It's just been brought up that maybe we can amend this resolution to open it to
I think
volunteers to get some EMTs. It may just be that we're just gonna pay for their training, because if they're a volunteer, we can't really hold them to 3 years,
And then what's the level of volunteering you're holding them to?
Exactly, right.
if
Kind of
So,
falls-
but I mean, I guess we could put a clause in there that if we pay for your training, you're gonna come work for Charleston County EMS for 3 years.
you had to work for 3 years or pay back that, or X amount of years and pay back.
Mhm.
Did we not pay per hour that those individuals were at school? I believe, so there's some more in that clause. Because we paid for that, not just that individual's classes. We paid for the time they were at school.
If they were an employee already.
That's correct.
Right,
That's
but
what
if
I'm
these
still-
volunteers are not currently an employee, they're just getting the training.
We almost
Then-
have to do a whole nother resolution. to
Right,
say-
exactly, and that's,
That's what I think we can take some wordage out of that and maybe go that route, but I don't think we're. I don't know that I have a problem with an individual saying I'll sign up and become this person.
at this
Paying
point,
for that.
only 3,000 of the 30,000 has been used. And there is a class coming up next month, this month,
Only one individual, is that what it is? Because it was about. that.
one person has used it, yes.
Okay.
So the word is there are volunteers that are interested in using it. And if the money's set aside,
And I think if we're gonna get more people incentivized to
right,
go to school, we have to pay some.
I would be 100% for supporting, we just need to really see how that needs to be written so that we don't end up paying for somebody to go to school that
goes away
ends up
somewhere
going
else.
somewhere else.
Exactly.
I don't want to pay for somebody to go look at that.
I just don't know how we can legally hold them to that. If they're not an employee,
That's-
how can we
That's,
hold them to that?
that was a lot of the questioning last year in that coming up. That was.
For me, For me, I'm willing to, if there are some Trousdale County citizens that are volunteers for fire and rescue now, and they're willing to go through this training and then become an employee, I'm willing to pay for that training for them and not have the guarantee. Because we're desperate for people.
It's just that hedging our bets against,
Right.
Those that would
Right.
take advantage of
Take
the
advantage,
situation.
exactly.
And it's sad that we have to do that, but it's reality.
We need to see Mr. Beller, what he would, says we can put against that, because I love the idea.
Mhm.
I remember having a lot of issues, because we tried to get that into, added into it 2 years ago when it came up, or a year and a half ago, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And I know there was quite a bit of discussion around why we could not necessarily bring in that volunteer in that resolution.
I will talk to Brendan and then we'll talk about it at the
Okay.
committee Wednesday as well, and
I like the plan. I'm certainly supportive if we can find a way to, I think we'd be very careful to not spend our tax dollars, money to pay for somebody to go to school.
Absolutely.
And then not have any way of holding
But
that individual with us.
flip side, I feel like we are desperate and spending taxpayer dollars on overtime at the same time, so if this is possibly a solution.
So, but it's not exactly a solution though, because the overtime we're spending on is on
That's why I was
paramedics.
fixing to say.
So I can honestly see, instead of doing it for volunteers, do something for EMTs to help them become paramedics. Because then that's addressing your
I
overtime.
think that's a much bigger
It's more
expense
involved.
in
Yes.
education,
But that will be the next step.
sure,
once
Sure.
we get some EMTs.
But my understanding, we're decently full of EMTs, is what I understood, correct?
As
We
of
just can't get-
last meeting, we were, now what's changed, I don't know, but
but we could have an ALS bus. That is one paramedic and 2 EMTs, and it would be a ALS, and then we could have a BLS bus
Mhm.
that was just EMTs.
Yeah.
So if we had more into EMTs, you could have 2 buses all the time, one ALS and one BLS.
okay. Because we're gonna have the new ambulance should be arriving at some point this year.
I mean, they have 2 ambulances now,
That's what I said,
but
if it's too much.
yeah, but I think there could be some concessions made to save,
And
Just
I'm
my
finding that that's done sometimes even here. There's some ambulances that are being manned by 2 EMT.
Mhm.
And a lot of counties do that occasionally. I think if you do it all the time, your certification gets, the number gets right.
But my understanding is we have the capability to have one ALS bus on the time, all the time, right?
Yeah.
So then we could have one BLS. One's advanced life support and one's basic life support, correct?
Doing transport,
Right,
general
transport,
Yeah. Yeah.
non-life threat, not,
dialysis.
crazy
stuff,
thing. not that they do that anymore.
I like, personally, I don't, I see what Mr. Beller thinks about what option we have of voting someone.
I will talk to him, we'll talk about it in the committee, and maybe I'll have it to the commission on the question this week.
When this course, that's what I was about to say.
I believe it starts the end of this month.
What
Sometime,
the classes?
the class that Randall's doing is the end of this month.
Officers,
She
So-
think there's some volunteers out there is willing to do this.
That is what I've been told, that there are definitely volunteers that are willing.
They mentioned that when this thing came about, the time before. What was it, this year time, like, when it
It was
came about?
July 2022, but it was approved.
Anything else?
I
What
mean,
is
there's
that?
lots to talk about.
This week,
Wednesday.
this one,
Mr. Dudley.
Finance, of course, we had our July meeting there before the work session and really was a. Pretty light meeting in that one, honestly, you know, with budget being approved in June, in the June meeting, July really didn't have a lot of pieces going on. We do have purchasing on this month's agenda. We got behind and missed that one in July. So we will have purchasing coming up on that. We have a call meeting. I hope everyone received that email. Did y'all receive an email today?
Do not-
Okay, I'll work on that in the very near future then. We've got a call meeting for next Monday night, the 14th at 6 o'clock.
I call finance meeting.
For looking at the wheel tax resolution. It is only thing on that agenda is wheel tax. I thought that went every day. I apologize. Only for the wheel tax resolution.
What's the date?
The 14th, Monday the 14th.
I need it.
I'll look and see that.
What time?
6 P.M.
Community center?
Mhm. We're hoping to get all commissioners to come, was the goal, and discuss. Where we're at on the wheel tax, you know, we've got a pretty fine timeline if we're gonna get it on the March referendum, I think. Even in the minutes we just approved, there was discussion that it was probably the best movement to put it on the referendum. You know, we need to get, if we're gonna put something on referendum, I've seen this fail miserably, with the sales tax resolution, we was only, what was that, 2022 midterms, I guess is when it was. Failed miserably, and the reason it failed miserably is because we didn't have a goal of where the money was going. We're not gonna get money just for having a goal. We need to, you know, here's the plan, here's the why. We know here's some of the set costs that we're talking about. And at this point, getting a resolution written up that we can get to get it over to get it on the agenda. It's gotta be, or on the referendum has gotta be ready to vote, gotta be to the end of, we've got until the end of October to get that ready, is where we are. I know it doesn't seem that short a time, but it has to go before the commission, get ready and get moved, so it moves fast. In other words, that time will move fast, is what I'm saying. So that is called for next Monday night. I believe that's, I know that still wasn't planned this morning. There's a few things came out, I thought that came out to everybody this morning. I apologize. We've been working on getting a few things finished on the agenda for that.
Anything else?
That is it for this.
Seems like we getting any feedback on some.
The conversations I've heard have been positive feedback. I really haven't heard any negative, major negative. I've heard a few say, hey, I can't do $100. I understand. I heard a few mention, well, it's only $5 right now. You're talking, I'm like, well, that was actually because the wheel tax went off. And Governor Lee decided to suspend the tags for a year. So there was two major reasons that was $5 this last year. You know, that's one of those things that it's where we are. We have some major expenses coming. Hopefully there's some grants and things coming. We don't know that at this time. We have hope that those things happen, but what we do is have to plan to, how do we cover the debt that's coming our way? Plain and simple.
I spoke to senior group today and talked about the wheel tax and have no objections. People,
No one I've talked to.
people understand it's fair tax.
Absolutely.
We just need a plan, a solid plan that they can see.
The
Here's
only
what we're going to do.
negative that I've heard is the idea that's been floated around of the dividing it, the 40-40-20. That's the only negative, and that the person who's talking about it, their idea was that when you do that, you're diluting the use of that money. That it should go to a capital fund like it did the high school. Everyone knew what that was going towards. That was your project, and 100% of it went to that. I see some validity to that. I mean, because if you're gonna increase it $100, but then you're gonna put 40 over to the schools, 40 over to the jail, 20 to debt. Okay, well, the schools are already coming at us for money every year. We just did a $1.9 million loan for schools. For capital outlays. Now we're gonna give them a 40% of the wheel tax on top of it. But you're still not gonna have money to pay your jail, because you've diluted that, taking it to the other two portions of that. And I really don't have an argument or a counterpoint. If any of y'all would like to,
I mean, I think there's some things that can come up next week, but I think there are some counterpoints to that. One is that there's 300,000 already coming from the prison that's going to that jail fund.
Yeah.
That's 300,000 towards that payment. We hope that payment's somewhere around $1 million for a 40-year notes, kind of, we were told 2 million on a 20-year note.
Yeah.
So, if you can get another 400,000 or 7 or 8, or wherever it runs out, at that number, roughly 400,000 going that way. You're at 700,000 plus of that dollar already coming in, so we got that covered at that point. Maybe it has to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
What I do know is this, and I've heard people say this piece, and here's one counter to it that I would say. People know we're gonna have to build a jail.
Yeah.
But the high school was easy to sell because they can go by there and they get use out of it.
Yeah.
They get a use. The people, most of the people in Travis County that pay towards that tax get some use towards that high school
Yeah.
at some way from inflation. I don't plan on getting much use out of the jail.
You would hope.
Myself, if you get what I'm saying in that case. So it's also a very easy way of planning. The way it was written, Mr. Beller presented it to us. The thing I see about it is we have some costs coming our way. It is not going to the school. It's going to a capital outlay in the county's budget. So it would not be going to, the way it's written is not going to the school.
so it wouldn't be set up
That's correct.
like the sales taxes where they automatically get
That's
their
correct.
NFT and, okay.
It is not going to the school to be used. It is going to the county, setting in a fund for the county to, in the future, the county has the expense of building schools. That's who it falls on.
Yeah.
The school doesn't have a budget for building schools. That doesn't come.
Yeah.
It falls on the county. And we know without a doubt, there's a time coming, whether we like it or don't like it, there's a lot of homes being built, a lot of properties, new rental properties, new everything being built.
Yeah.
I personally see that it's growth that has to happen. But I can tell you from being on those insides, and we'll have those conversations too. If we don't plan ahead, we'll be sitting in the same place we're sitting today, trying to figure out how in the world to pay for a jail. I'd much rather have said, hey, look, here's the reason, we set some money aside, it's not gonna hit us as hard. That's been
Growth is good.
the one reason I saw Mr. Beller's view as a good view. The other 20 was not going to debt from what the wheel tax is currently written. It says that other 20 would be paying towards a plan, and that's actually one of the pieces that'll be on that agenda, hopefully, towards a plan to extend your ambulance and your EMS, your ambulance and your fire stations throughout, is what the original 20 was written to go to in that piece. There was a plan written in the late 2000s to build 7 or 8 satellite stations. And the thought in that one, that Mr. Beller has stated, and as I've researched this thing as it's come to us, I think it's a pretty good plan for a lot of pieces. Where the money numbers go, it's a different story. But if we're going to sell it to the people, if it costs me $200 for 2 cars in my home, but I get a satellite station within 5 miles of my home and I save $200 a year on my insurance on my home, we just didn't pay $1. We didn't change anything, but we got something built for our
You
county.
didn't increase your family.
That's right.
On,
You still, the numbers equaled out.
Yeah.
And I think that's a strong piece for us to continue looking at going forward. We're gonna have to have a way to sell it.
Yeah.
I have heard some folks say, I'm not sure that I'd put $100 towards a jail.
Yeah.
That is one thing I've heard.
I've heard that as well.
I mean, and I'm saying we need to be careful with that conversation. I don't think we can put $100 bill on car payment and people feel comfortable when they get their tag saying I paid for a jail.
Yeah.
And that's why I think there's some opportunity in what Mr. Beller has presented to really give us a chance.
Anything else, Mr. Kelly?
Not right now, like I said, next Monday night, right now is the plan. I hope everyone will get that email tomorrow. We'll work on that.
Mr. Gregory?
We hadn't had a meeting since July the 19th. I don't know where everything at our regular county court meeting. They just discussed the pool. This pool closing date was July 23rd. I hadn't heard anything back from Cliff. They're supposed to be coming back with some numbers for us here in our August meeting. Our next meeting is August 23rd, August 23rd. And then he did something, his new backhoe was in, and he's when he's tickled death with his backhoe, and I hadn't talked to him since our meeting. Like I said, our next meeting is July 23rd, I mean, August 23rd.
Servo was in Friday.
We haven't got to deal, we discussed.
They run in 2 full crews on Thursdays, Friday and Saturday. 2 full days. He said they didn't got to show it.
Courthouse?
There are a couple of other things just minor thing, the floor in the main entrance, he said it was fine, but back in the election office, it may have to be above some, but all in all. Simply we should.
So bowler still downstairs?
I'm sorry,
Is the bowler still in the
as far
basement?
as I know, it's gone, like, as far as I know. That was part of it, they told us it would be made.
I haven't. Don't have anything yet.
But he said right now that the challenge is to. They're wanting to do the computer training online rather than, I think some of the rooms are tempting, like 85 degrees, because they haven't reset everything. Supposedly there's gotta be some training done on how to program all the different rooms to where they're livable. But that's coming next is what I'm thinking.
And if that system's anything like the ones that they've got at the hospitals, and all the hospitals have the same problem. Every time the humidity goes up, your temperatures go way out of whack.
Yeah, and he was saying that even with those floors, it takes time for the temperature to adjust to the kind of floor you have in it, and so they have to go through it. Supposedly the playground equipment's supposed to hang around. That's gonna have to happen for Ken the Horn to come in here and go ahead and take that one.
I ain't got to talk to Cleo for the last, since our meeting.
I visited the Red Walnut Springs, Blue Cross. Really,
Yeah, I heard it was not.
like they're grant 750,000. And.
Maybe.
An email from Blue Cross.
I got a mailer. that sent it.
They're running ads on TV.
Yeah, I've seen it, man, some TV.
They're aggressively.
Yeah,
So that's something we need to go after it.
Well, I mean, we've got the person going out here, which is suspicious. Plus they added $150,000 for maintenance for the next 10 years, so just to put in a kitty and it's that rubberized asphalt. It's about
So they pay for all of this up there?
750,000, they, and it's about. Third as big as strip mall. And there's some extra size equipment on it. She made the point to me, I met the person who wrote the grant. She made the point to me, Blue Cross is not concerned about floodplains, was a bit, Red Barns is a flood. But it was really nice. And she is putting together a proposal for us.
The one that Red Bull.
And those are the people there. He's wanting to do something and coordinate what we're already doing. Maybe tennis courts and basketball courts.
The mailer that they sent out to me, it didn't just say playgrounds, I mean, it was
Yeah,
any park.
Yeah.
Stuff, so.
like pickleball.
And I mentioned 4 ball fields.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she's gonna check with them and talk to them about what they could tailor for our playground. She knows, and by the way, she said, I'm not afraid to get up to people. If you want me to come talk to you county court, I'll be glad to come talk to them, tell them all about what we did and how we did it. So. Keep showing.
With our 20-year plan, will that help us? Our 10-year plan, we have a 10-year park plan. I mean, she knows about it as well, then we have a plan.
Well, yeah, I told her, she's.
Okay. Just be good to know that maybe those things help us.
So she works for Red Bull or just feels that
She is there, industrial development person. But she would be willing to go off. And just kind of work the grant route for us, on this, since she already knows all the people. So, anything else from you, Mr. Gregory?
August 23rd.
Any other discussion?
Well, when will we get in the courthouse? And we still not in the chat team. We said they still got this.
I think we could probably be in, you know.
As the audio video.
Yeah, the
be
video.
clean,
Supposedly it's been clean. I'll check with Cliff to make sure.
I'm pretty sure it was clean last time I went.
But it's something that's about where
They had the
that's.
tables and they had all of our mics back out.
This top one is a very specific way the cameras had to be cleaned, and he talked to Cliff about that, and
Yeah.
I went up there one day and it was rather toasty in there and I went back to the room where all the audio visual stuff and opened the door, you can have a meeting and I thought, I didn't do this, but I thought, I probably need to leave the store open because it's too, no, there's a reason why it's in. So I shut
There's
the
a lot of
door.
money sitting there.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, good.
Is there any news on land or place for the prison?
There,
Jail?
this will be, land acquisition will be on the agenda with the next one.
Any resolutions or anything coming our way? This month?
Nothing in particular, I think it's gonna be on the agenda again.
I'm gonna push hard to get a new resolution for this. Something worked out for that.
Other than that
Just
conversation.
ends up- Yes.
I like your blame. I hope we can figure out a way to make.
Has he got any, I mean, how is this, or is he getting?
I don't know, we haven't met since July. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we didn't meet in July, June, we didn't met since June, so,
Because you were out of town for July.
Yeah.
Talking about emergency.
Yeah.
I met with the retired EMS director of Williamson County. a Couple weeks ago, and then I had meetings with Summer County. Getting on inside into things, and so. Thank you.
The commercial and industrial appearance ordinance coming out of planning got delayed a month because our GNRC representative quit GNRC. And so hopefully next month we'll be able to bring that forward to the full commission.
Is this the one that's coming through with our individual that's, what's it, Richard, or what's his?
No, that's
Great.
Gregory. He's working on the just the cleaning up and combining of the Hartsville and Trousdale ordinances.
Okay.
Now, this was the one that planning commission's been working on for almost 6 months now. As far as your facades of your commercial and industrial, just putting in some building features, requirements, and material list. A preferred, how do we word it? There's a preferred, it's not a block, but it's 3 different levels. I think there is like a prohibited, plywood is not acceptable for the front of a building. I believe corrugated steel was one of the ones that were, on the front, you can't. But the way we've got it worded, that's just for the road fronting facade of the building. The rest of your building, use what. If it's an approved building material in Tennessee, it can be used, just to give a kind of not just a look-alike. You use whatever colors, whatever, different materials you want, brick, stucco, whatever. But to give a consistency, and as we went down McMurray, 95% of the buildings already meet what we're asking for new construction coming in. So it's a 60% up, has to be the preferred. Well, that's food, land, pig, they're all meet that already. The only ones that don't really meet that, you got to go out towards, so Blankenship would meet it, but then pretty quick, being all corrugated metal there, it wouldn't meet the standard, but it's already a built building, it doesn't apply to them anyway. The tractor repair place beside it, same thing. But any of the new, the Dollar Tree, what they brought in is theirs, it already meets what we would be even asking. Actually, it exceeds it because they're doing 100% of stuff. So it doesn't limit businesses coming in that have like a pre-shaped building. It doesn't affect them at all. It's just the material list is the main thing.
Dollar store out here in town.
Dollar store currently would not, but the one out at 231 would. But once again, it's already built and it doesn't apply. But I've gotten a lot of complaints from my own neighbors and from other people in town that they thought it looked pretty cheap and don't understand why the one at 231 looks nicer than the one right here in town. Well, we didn't have any ordinance telling them otherwise. So although they did submit a package that showed a nicer building, they weren't required to build any nicer, and it was cheaper for them to do so. So they did. This just kind of holds everyone to the same standard, keeps your property values up and helps our tax dollars coming in. So just want to give everyone an update on that.
Anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn. So moved. Okay. Awesome. This motion is debatable, all in favor, say aye. Thank you for your participation. Everybody else on TV now.